Welcome to the Leverage Your Influence podcast, where we talk to amazing people about how they leverage their influence, impact, and income through podcasting. Today, we have Kevin Palmieri, the founder and host of the Next Level University, a global top 100 self-improvement podcast that has over 2,000 episodes, reaching over 1 million people in more than 175 countries. We're so glad to have you with us today, Kevin.
GP, I'm excited to chat. I'm curious to see where the conversation will go, but I love talking about podcasting, so I'm sure it'll be good.
Yes, sir. And I love the fact that you are joining us live from Mars. Just kidding. Tell the folks where you are.
I live in New Hampshire. It's beautiful, 80 degrees today. So for the audience, I have the window shut. Once we finish, I will open the window back up again.
All right. So Kevin, you have a no BS approach to holistic self-improvement, and you teach others how to go to the next level. What were some of your experiences in life that kind of got you on this journey to helping others?
Yeah, I was somebody who never thought I was going to be any level of successful. My family was not very successful. I did not go to college. I worked a bunch of quote unquote dead end jobs. Somehow, eventually, I became quote unquote successful, but I was really successful in a couple of areas, but I wasn't well rounded. So I was making a lot of money and I was in really good shape, but my relationships were garbage. My mental health was not in a good place. And I ended up sitting on the edge of a bed contemplating suicide. And that was a real wake up call, obviously, for me, thinking to myself, well, I've chased all of this external success, but I'm missing something. I must be missing something. Let me go on that journey to figure out what that something might be.
Wow, powerful. So you know what it's like to be a public success, but a private failure.
Yes. Yeah. And I still am in a way. I mean, there's more failure happening behind the scenes, but it's constructive failure. It's
Yeah,
failing forward.
yeah,
I think that's the big differentiator there.
yeah. And so what does next level mean to you right now?
To me, it means getting a little bit better every day. It's our brand, our podcast, our advice is not sexy. It's just get a little bit better today than you were yesterday. And if you do that for 10 years, if you do that for 2,000 episodes, you will get to a place where you're way better than you used to be. And your 30% will be better than your old 90%. But it's kind of going to suck for the vast majority of the time. It's not very sexy. It's not necessarily sought after, but yeah, to me, it means just getting a little bit better today than you were yesterday. And if you do that long enough, this year should be better than last year. And if you continue doing that for a long enough period of time, this decade should be better than last decade. And hopefully your life can be better. That's the ultimate goal that we're trying for here.
Love it, love it, love it. So, Kevin, you've published thousands of podcast episodes. What has been one of the biggest keys to your consistency, and what could you encourage? How could you encourage our listeners who are creators on how to be consistent with their content?
Three things. So one, it is literally a part of our brand. So we say self-improvement in your pocket every day from anywhere on the planet, completely free. Every day is in there for a reason. So one, it's part of the brand. Two, that is public accountability. I'm going to say it here. We will never miss an episode. That just reaffirms the fact that I can't miss an episode even if I want to. Well, that's a big piece. And then I think the third most important thing, and maybe it's actually the first important thing, I have a co-host and a business partner. So on days where I don't want to do it, he's there waiting. On days where he doesn't want to do it, I'm there waiting. And that guarantees that there's always a safety net. One of us is always picking up the other person if they're down. If we're both riding high, then it's easier. But that, I mean, I would have missed for sure if I didn't have somebody waiting, and probably vice versa. And then maybe the biggest fortune cookie one is it's not about us. It doesn't really matter if I want to podcast. I signed up for this. I'm committed to this. I want to keep going. I want to add value. And if I really want to add value, I better be in your pocket every day adding value to your life. If I say I'm committed, I want to be the most committed I can be. So I think those are all really important pieces of it. Maybe the best tactical advice for somebody is you have to start from a place that's sustainable. We started from one episode a week, and then it was two, and then I ended up leaving my job, and then it was three, and it was four. We didn't go from starting in 2017 to 7 episodes that year. This took years and years to get to. So the framework that I would throw out for anybody is start from a place of sustainability, practice that thing consistently, and then improve that thing consistently. When you go through that cycle with 1 episode a week, cool, now you're good for 2, as long as it's sustainable. So I would say make sure you're starting sustainably, because if not, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, unfortunately.
Yeah. I like that quote that says it's better to under-promise and over-deliver than to over-promise and under-deliver.
Yes,
And
100%.
I love, Kevin, how you framed us showing up as content creators as a commitment, a public commitment. I will show up every week at this time. And when we don't show up, what does it say to our audience?
I want people to give me crap, GP. If I don't show up, I want someone to reach out and say, yeah, where were you? You said you were going to be there. I want that. I feel like human beings respond really well to necessity and accountability. We respond so well to it, in fact, that we're afraid to use it against ourselves. And that's just one thing that we've been very, we've used it a lot since the very beginning. I mean, that's always been the thing, is we're never going to miss. And then eventually it becomes part of your identity. And then it's harder to miss than it is to keep going. I think that's kind of the stage we're at now, but obviously that takes a good amount of time.
Yeah. So you give a shout out to your business partner and friend. For those who are trying to build a podcast with a co-host, some of us are traumatized from those group projects in class, in high school or college, where one person had to carry the load or the slack of everyone else. What advice would you give us on how to seek out a quality partner who is passionate about what we're passionate about?
I would say you sit down with this person, you take out a piece of paper, you draw 3 columns. Column 1 is core beliefs. Column 2 is core values. And then column 3 is core aspirations. You don't look at them. Don't look at them as you do them, but write down all of your core values, write down all your core beliefs and all of your core aspirations. So a core value is just what you value in humanity. So I value consistency. I value personal development. Awesome. Core beliefs are what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about the world? That type of stuff. And the aspirations are what do you want to accomplish, right? The reason we work so well together is because we have very similar across the board. I mean, that's something that I think we're very unique in, where when we started this journey, we didn't expect it to get easier. Mm-hmm. It wasn't start this podcast so the business grows and we can work less. That wasn't what we were aspiring for. So yeah, make sure that you have all of those things in alignment, because if you don't, let's say somebody cares about money more than they care about getting better. Mm-hmm. They might take shortcuts that breaks rapport with you. Let's say somebody comes to you and says, hey, I'd really like to work with you, but I expect this will probably be pretty easy. And in your mind, you're thinking there's no way this is going to be easy. And if you think it is, you're going to be cutting out far before I do. That's not going to work. So it's just like any other relationship. If somebody is super into hiking and you're not, it's probably not going to work. If somebody is super into growth and you're not, it's probably not going to work. So yeah, core values, core beliefs, core aspirations. If there's too many of those in conflict, you might wind up in trouble later.
Sound advice and practicable, actionable advice that we can put into practice right now. Thank you so much, Kevin. So if you were to start all over from scratch today, what would you do differently in your first year of building your podcast brand?
More YouTube. More YouTube and more reverse engineering episodes. So right now, and we all know this as content creators, we're competing against people who are running scripts. They're practicing hooks. Like they are doing their best to hook somebody in the first 30 seconds. It's really hard to do that with a podcast.
Yeah.
Especially if you're interviewing somebody else. So I would have done way more solo stuff on YouTube, because honestly, I think nowadays it might be as easy to build a following on YouTube, even though it's way more saturated, because at least we have an understanding of what the algorithm is doing.
Right.
Podcast algorithms, they're out there, but the analytics are kind of garbage, and there's only so much you can do with that. So I would probably go way harder on YouTube. That would be one. And one thing that we did do that I would just do way more of is we would literally get on calls with our audience members. So if you were listening to our podcast and you reached out to me and said, hey, Kev, I love the podcast, I would literally say, hey, GP, I would love to hop on a FaceTime call with you because I want to learn about you. I want to know what you're going through. Right. What do you resonate with? I would do more of that because that is one of the things that really, really helped us in the beginning. You know, this as a podcaster, the better you know your audience, the better content you can make for your audience. And
Yeah.
that's something that we were really focused on, and I would triple down on if I could.
Yeah, I love that you said that because a lot of folks just focus on the demographics, but they don't think about the psychographics, which is how your audience thinks, what they
Yes.
value, what they care about, what they don't care about. And so when you master the understanding of your audience, you can better serve them.
Yeah. Well, think about one Sunday, GP, I found myself watching golf. And I remember seeing all the ads. So golf sells to predominantly men who are like 40 to 65 above average income. So if you just think of that, think of how well they know their audience and the things that they're doing and the things that they're talking about and the products and services and cars and watches and banking and like they know exactly who they're talking to. They're probably going to convert really, really well.
Right.
So yeah, it's a superpower if you can really lean into that. Seems like a waste of time, probably, but it is probably one of the best things you can do in terms of understanding your audience.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to you and your preference, are you team audio or team video when it comes to consuming podcasting content? And then we'll talk about what works best for brand building and for people who want to leverage podcasting for their business, what works best. But for you personally, what do you prefer?
Team video. Yeah, team video, 1,000%. If I'm listening to something on my phone, it's most likely going to be a book. If I'm watching something on YouTube, on my TV while I'm eating, it's probably going to be a podcast. So that's kind of, it's a primary behavior to watch YouTube. It's a secondary behavior to listen to a podcast. If I'm listening, I'm probably going to listen to a book. So yeah, for me, it's YouTube and video and big screen TV. That's the way I like to do it.
All right. Now for businesses, do you recommend them to do both audio and video well, or do you lean more towards one?
My suggestion is always start with what's sustainable. That's always my thing, is like, what's going to get us off the ground? If you're not going to do it because you don't want to do video, but you would do audio, cool, let's start there. But my thought process is always, okay, if you want to get the most bang for your buck, you're going to record your audio and maybe turn that into a blog. You want to do your video and you're probably going to break it into social media clips and it's going to be YouTube shorts and it's going to a bunch of different stuff. So you're going to want to record the video even if you don't use it for YouTube. You might as well throw it up.
Yeah.
I mean, why not throw it up if you have the capability of doing that? That's always my thought. It's eyes that you're not going to get, right?
Very true.
You're not going to get those eyes if you don't put it out there. So, and I think the other thing too is the more video content you put out, the less insecure about yourself I think you become.
True.
Right? I'm rocking the backwards hat right now. I got a rash on my face. I don't know what the heck's going on. I'm not even really thinking about that because I've just done this so many times. It doesn't really bother me like it used to. So there's something about the self-belief and self-worth thing that comes from doing video as well, in my opinion.
Yeah. And what you're talking about is I call pod hacking, where you use podcasting as a hack for your personal development, right?
Yeah.
You are developing your communication skills, your listening skills, your tech skills, your soft skills. I think podcasting is one of the best ways to grow as a person. And the best currency in podcasting ultimately is relationships. And so the people you'll meet along the journey, the connections you make and what you learn is truly invaluable. And some of us may never get to travel all around the world to absorb all of its wonder. But through podcasting, we can be immersed in different ways on different topics. And so I truly love podcasting.
Same. And I can't speak to that enough. Most people, when somebody comes to me and they want to start a podcast, all I say, and I say this every time, is you're going to learn a lot about a lot. But the thing you're going to learn the most about is you.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you're ready. I know you think it's just going to be like, yeah, I'll record an episode and put it up. No, you're going to learn about whether or not you can be consistent, fear of judgment, interview skills, all of that stuff. And yeah, it might be the best self-improvement thing of all time.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how can we get podcasting into the curriculum of all high schools in America to kind of, allow our students to be exposed to the amazingness of it, not just as consumers, but creators of it also. And how do we create a pipeline for podcasting to be a viable career path as a trade, if I might say, because I truly believe that the $30 billion podcasting industry will continue to grow exponentially, and there'll be plenty of room for everybody who wants to be a part of it to get a piece of the pie.
Yeah, we've done a few speeches at high schools about podcasting. So I kind of, to your point, I think eventually if there's a career day, there's a lot of people that are YouTubers.
Yep.
That's like a thing. People want to be influencers. Podcasting is not far off from being an influencer. So I think we're getting there for sure. I think it's closer than it's ever been. And again, I started in 2017 and everybody laughed at me. Understandable. I didn't know what I was doing. So it was probably not, it didn't seem like we were going to make it.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows somebody who has a podcast.
Yeah.
Right. So it's way more common now. So I think we're getting there. I do.
Yeah. There was a stat that was released by, I think it's Edison Research. They said that over 55% of Americans over age 12 are now listening to podcasts.
Yeah.
So it's no longer an underground
time.
activity, but it's mainstream.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're the cool kids now.
Well, I think we've always tried to be the cool kids, and now maybe other people are thinking it's cool. So I dig it. I dig it.
And the flip side is not everyone wants to do it. Now, how do you help people who struggle with mindset challenges and barriers when it comes, like, I want to start a podcast, I have ideas, I have expertise, but I just cannot get out of my own way to share the content, to create the content?
I will go and show them our old stuff. Oh, cool. You think you're bad? All right, cool. Let's come take a look at episode number 5 and let's see how bad we were, quote unquote. Most people, it's perfectionism is usually the number one thing is, I don't have the right camera. I don't have the right mic. None of that matters. Don't worry about it. Nobody's going to listen in the beginning anyway. This is the time to work out the kinks. I think a lot of it is checking in with them and figuring out, okay, what's your relationship with judgment?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Every time you tried to do something, your parents kind of crapped on your dreams. Oh, interesting. Is that where this is coming from? So I think a lot of it is diving into the identity to figure out how somebody got to where they are. And here's the other thing, GP. In the beginning, I will literally go on somebody's podcast and interview them or be like a live producer to help them through the process. So you don't have to do it alone. You can do it with a friend. You can do it with a family member. Just get the support that you need. I think it's the accountability of I'm going to be there with you. It's the necessity of if you don't do this now, you're not going to do it.
Right.
We both know that. Like, let's have that real conversation. And then it's the responsibility of me saying, I'm going to show up and I'm going to be there to support you. Let's get this done.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned working with teams. You mentioned mindset. Having scaled a successful brand and business from the ground up, what have you learned about the importance of delegation and not trying to do everything yourself, even if you can?
Yeah. One, I think most people either delegate way too early or way too late. I know a lot of people that delegate way too early. They just have enough money to start surviving. And then they say, all right, cool, I'm going to delegate this off because that's what everybody's telling me to do. No, because that's going to create more stress. So I've noticed that. I've noticed usually people do it too fast or they wait too long. The other thing that I've seen so often is people delegate to somebody that isn't actually meant to be doing what they're doing.
Ooh.
So that's a common thing that you see in the podcast space. I'm not saying there isn't a VA who can do audio editing and video editing. I'm not saying that. But there are people that are specifically audio editors and specifically video editors that are going to do probably a better job. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a big piece of it too. And then maybe the third thing that is the most humbling one is the person that you're delegating to is only going to be able to do as good a job as you can do at leading them. You can't just give it to them and say, make this perfect. You have to communicate. You have to lead. You have to set expectations. You have to be a good leader. You have to be a supportive leader. Psychological safety. All of that is really, really important. So yeah, it's way different than I thought. I thought
Wow.
you just passed it off, it got done, and then it showed up somewhere. There's so much checking in. There's so much psychological safety. There's so much ownership.
Yeah.
It's way bigger than just delegation. I would say it's leadership in a nutshell.
Mm. So, on the topic of success and what success looks like, can you break down what it means to have aligned success? Success that makes sense and success that's mission driven and not just number driven.
It's fulfillment. I think fulfillment is the ultimate measure. So, yes, right now we're the most externally quote unquote successful we've been as a business. But the way we make our money is fulfilling. We help people get better. That's
Mm.
all we do. That's the way we make money as a business. We help people get better. As a byproduct of that, I get better and I learn a lot. So I'm in this cycle of I grow, I help other people grow, the business grows, which helps me grow, rinse and repeat that forever. That's a big piece of it. And again, I keep harping on this, but this has just been my experience. This whole thing is way bigger than just me.
Yeah.
It's not about me. It's not I am somebody who is facilitating it and I'm in the trenches every day doing it, but this business, this brand, it's all way bigger than me, but it circles back to what we talked about. My core values is freedom and time freedom.
Mm.
Do I have that, GP? No, because I own my own business, but I do get to make my own schedule, kind of, sort of, which
Yeah.
is nice. My core belief is consistency, hard work, and grit are requirements. Cool. I'm in the right place to do that. And my core aspirations when I started this were to be my own boss, to podcast when I want with who I want, to be able to go to the gym whenever I want. And now that kind of is my life. So essentially, it's less beautiful than I expected. And I always want to be honest about that. But I am living my dream. It's just a
Yeah.
lot different than I expected. So to me, that is the measure of success.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Now, can you tell us a little more about Next Level University?
Yes. So we do an episode every day. And our major thought is how can this episode help you get a little bit better? So we're talking about life, love, health, and wealth. So we're talking about relationships. We're talking about how to make more money. We're talking about physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health. Our thought is getting better is really hard. Getting better physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relations, money, all of that is 3 times as hard. So if we can just leave little breadcrumbs every day, deeper understanding and tactics, then the audience has a far more likely opportunity to improve. And luckily for us, we get the opportunity to lead by example. So I'm in the gym every day working on my body so I can have a strong, capable body. Cool. I learn every day. Awesome. We're doing the same things with our money that we talk about. So yeah, it's leading by example towards personal development and growth. And it's really success through personal development, not get successful and then figure out how to work on yourself. It's work on yourself so long that you eventually become successful, and success is a byproduct of that.
Yeah, yeah. And once you hit that, once you attain that success, you can sustain it for the long haul because you have the capacity to do so because of your healthiness, spiritually, physically, mentally, and you'll be able to actually enjoy what you have.
That's the goal. I think sustaining it is harder than getting it because maybe you lose the drive, maybe you lose the hunger, whatever, you get complacent. I think sustaining success might be harder than achieving it in the first place.
Yeah, powerful. So Kevin, tell us how we can connect with you beyond this moment. Give yourself a shout out to however you want to be connected with.
The podcast is Next Level University. You all know that. We talked about that. My handle on Instagram is @NeverQuitKid. And then my email is kevin@nextleveluniverse.com. Questions, comments, concerns. I am happy to answer anything. I'm not going to say you need to give me money. Anything I can do to add value, just let me know. We're very big on adding value. And if I can serve you, I would love the opportunity to do that.
Thank you again, Kevin, for sharing your story and your expertise and for inspiring us to continue to grow each and every day as creators, as world changers. And thank you once again for your time here today.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it very much.
Yes, sir. And we look forward to hearing you all on your feedback, on your thoughts on this episode. But thank you all for tuning in. We hope that Kevin's story was an inspiration to you. See you next time.